From the studios of Foxborough Cable Access, located in the center of Foxborough, Massachusetts, you are watching Around Foxborough.
Welcome to another episode of Around Foxborough. My name is Julie Love. I'm your host. Since we have coronavirus pandemic, we cannot meet in person in the studio with our guest, unfortunately. But fortunately, we have Mia Ventura Lucas on Zoom. Hi, Mia.
Hi, thank you so much for having me today.
Sure, we are very excited to have you, and your background looks like amazing. Where are you?
I'm in Massachusetts. I'm in Taunton, and it's a beautiful lake behind me. So luckily, I get to reclude in nature.
That is amazing. So Mia, please tell us who you are, what you do, and I know you're quite young.
Yeah. So I'm Mia Ventura Lucas. I'm originally from Portugal, and I'm an actress, a singer, and a writer. I started off as a fado singer back in Portugal, which is fado is a particular type of song that's very typical of the Portuguese community. And then I started doing some acting. I worked in England as well. I lived in Oxford for 3 years. And then I moved to New York, and I've been working as an actor there ever since.
That's amazing. And then what was your journey? Right now, you're actually living in New York, but because this pandemic, you are living with your cousin right now. But what do you do in New York?
Well, in New York, I work as an actor. And when I'm not working as an actor, I either work in production, stage managing, or as a translator, because I try to stay in the medium, because I think it's important for you to know every job there is to know, and for you to understand the medium that you work in. So about my journey before New York, like I said, I started off as a singer, and then I went into musical theater, and I studied at West End Stage in London. And then at Oxford, I took film, which was my passion, and now I really developed the acting side of film, not only just the theory, but also the practical side. So I started doing a lot of film and theater in Oxford, and then eventually in New York. So in the past few months, I've been working a lot in New York film, New York theater, and honestly trying to work as much as you can off Broadway or in any type of film productions that there are there. Unfortunately, due to this pandemic, everything is kind of frozen at the moment, but you try and do as much as you can. You try and audition, improve your craft, and keep working.
Sure. And then I know you mentioned that you had worked with Chelsea like film festivals and be involved in that film festival work too.
Yeah, like I said, when I'm not acting, I tend to turn towards producing or anything in the medium. So I was the production coordinator for the 7th edition of the Chelsea Film Festival, which was past October. It is an amazing festival that truly supports independent filmmakers. And it was a very interesting experience because it gathers a lot of people and a lot of filmmakers who really strive to bring about important subjects. So there was a climate change, for instance, climate change panel. There were several films that spoke about these issues. And overall, it's just an amazing experience because I got to learn a lot about all the work that really goes into a festival, and also how really how the selections of the films are really made, and how you can honestly make your project as best as you can so that you can bring it to a lot of people, because a festival setting is really the best way for you to expand your work and get people to see your work.
Yes, and then you're involved with film and acting, and that's how we originally met through Richie Wingard and Alex Pyers, a piece in a pod, which I'm part of the production producer, and then they came on Around Foxborough as well. So that's how we originally got connected. And then do you really love acting on the set, or do you prefer like being an actor on the stage, or it doesn't matter?
I don't know if I have a preference. I think I started off with a preference for film because considering I grew up in Portugal, there wasn't a lot of theater available. So I think film was really that window towards these new worlds and these circumstances that I never experienced before. So I think I started off with film, but now I've done quite a bit of theater in New York. And I honestly fell in love with both. I love being on set because it's that I think there's a certain comradeship. There's a certain union, and I love being on set. However, on stage, you only get one chance to do it. So it's very interesting to play with that adrenaline of being on stage and knowing that you need to give your best and that there's an audience that you can play off. So I don't know if I have a preference right now. I'd say I'm going to let my future unfold and see what kind of things I'm more right for. And those are the stories that I need to tell, whether they're film or theater.
Sure. And then you do singer-songwriting as well. You do sing and you play piano. I've seen some Instagram posts.
Yeah. Well, like I said, I originally started off as a singer, but then my life kind of unfolded into theater. And I love doing theater that involves music because I think music is universal. And I think it's very important for us to, as artists, to share our creativity any way we can, whether it's through music, through acting, through painting. I think it's very important for you to expand on that creativity. So yeah, I started writing a few songs. One of them was motivated by me going home at Christmas. And, it's very hard when you move to a different country because your home isn't really your home anymore. Your home is in several different places. So yeah, I wrote a song called One More Day. And since being in quarantine, I've written 3 more songs. So I'm hoping that at least this period will be great for building material and then releasing it after everything's done.
Yes, absolutely. So how can people find out about your materials and your work? Do you have like website, Facebook, IG?
Yeah. So my website is MIAVENTURALUCAS, Mia Ventura Lucas, .com. So that's my website. My IG is at MIAVLUCAS at Mia V Lucas. And you can also find me off Facebook, which is my name, Mia Ventura Lucas. And I post everything there. I also have a YouTube channel, which is also my name, Mia Ventura Lucas. And you can find all my songs there and any upcoming things.
So would you tell us about your upcoming work? I know it's social distancing, but when it's done and over, like what kind of project are you working on?
Well, right now, I've actually just finished doing vocals for a song for an artist called SAG, so SAG. He's on all platforms. So I'm hoping that after all of this is done, we can release it onto SoundCloud, or maybe even before the whole pandemic hopefully stabilizes. Before this situation, I was rehearsing for a play called Stop Kiss by Diana Sun. So that was going to premiere off Broadway in New York. So now I'm not really sure when it's going to happen, but we keep working. And I do have a feature film that's meant to film this summer. So I'm hoping that's still up. So exciting things, but we have to wait and see how everything plays out.
What's the feature film?
It's an adaptation of a play that I was actually in called Payback. So the director wants to adapt it into a feature. So that's really exciting. It really is.
That's really amazing. So I have kind of actor to actor. I do act and then model to question. And then for the audience to know, when you have really like emotional like setting that you have to cry or you have to like get angry, like how do you get from like 0 energy to like 100? Like how can you jump from this emotion to this emotion?
Well, I think it depends on your training as an actor, which method you trained in. For instance, I was trained in Meisner, which is very based on the present moment. So my personal way of getting myself to those places is I need to root whatever emotion on something that's real to me and that it's important to me. So I think as long as it's truthful, I don't have to worry about crying because it'll come out naturally. That's what I think, because I think if I think too much about crying, then I won't cry because you get too nervous about trying to do it. But if I really connect to what the character in that moment needs, and I connect it to something real in my life, so I combine a bit of Stanislavski. I think it's very powerful what can come out of you if you just allow yourself to be vulnerable in that moment and to truly experience the character's loss or the character's sadness. And I think as long as you trust that your body will naturally do what a natural human response would do, then it'll come out no matter what. That's my personal theory on it.
And then how do you memorize all this script? It's like, especially like a theater, it's a lot to memorize. Like, and how do you deal with that?
Yeah, I've recently in January I did a play at Theater for the New City, and it was 7 women in purgatory, and all of us had very extensive monologues, like 1.5 pages, and all of us had like 8 of those, and we're all on stage for 90 minutes. So that was a real challenge. I find that it's easier to memorize dialogue if you rehearse a lot of times with the group that you're in, because it just, the cadency of it just naturally flows. But when I have to learn on a short period, it really helps me to just sit with myself in silence and sort of repeat the lines out loud and follow the thought pattern that is associated to that line. So if I'm saying I'm walking down the street, that's my line. So I think I'm walking down the street and I associate an image to that thought. So then instead, even if you don't remember the exact words, you remember the imagery that you thought about, and the words will naturally flow. Also, I think if you sit by yourself, it also helps if you associate a movement to a certain line. So if you move an arm, something that keeps it in the muscles, so that you have muscle memory as well, not only just mental brain power. It really helps me, at least.
That's amazing. So you sent us some reel of your acting. So let's watch that right now.
Action. It's like we're face to face now, like we're really seeing this marriage, and I'm afraid it's a lie.
Bravo. See if I could.
Do you want to try role playing as each other?
No.
Yes.
No. Fine.
Sounds good.
Okay then.
Yes. When was the last time you looked at these?
Oh.
Huh?
Okay.
You look like shit. The hell were you thinking? The premiere's in and
I wasn't thinking.
For God's sake, how did you end up in Yonkers? How did you get home? How the hell did you get home? You know you need to be more careful, right? I was really worried. I know.
Let's face it, Dad, you're not doing it for the sake of the art. You're doing it because you want to feel relevant again. You're doing this because you're scared to death like the rest of us that you don't matter, you know what? You're right. You don't.
Because if you didn't choose it, how can I stop it from happening to me? I guess we need a reason. If only I had a reason, I could put all of this emotional mess into a nice little box and put it away.
The answer is no. You are writing Portuguese as your origin ancestry, not as your place of birth.
Just a room.
Well, let's just go then.
Yeah, we could be in trouble. Let's go.
Just wait for her. Still want ice cream though.
I promise that you'll never find another like me. I know that I'm a handful, babe.
Well, we'll have a bestseller. I have a good one that tops it. You know how I go to a club? Just shut up. I like it. Okay? A room of 1,700 Virginia Woolf. You should try it. Anyway, we're discussing the book's feminist anxieties and modern parallels, and fucking Gertrude tells me that my generation is too sensitive.
What, that old lady?
You know what, Gertrude? Why don't we reverse feminism? Because women were so much better during your time, you know, like women were tougher.
Okay, wonderful. Thank you so much for sharing your reel.
Thank you.
Yes. So you mentioned something about census campaign. What is that?
Oh, yeah. I've recently done a US Census campaign for the Portuguese community. So I worked with palcas.org, which is an association that's doing a campaign called Make Portuguese Count. So it hopefully wants to reach out to all the Portuguese community in the US, and hopefully they'll sign up as Portuguese in the race and origin question at the census, so that then we can reinstitute Portuguese in schools in America, or we can have more representation of the Portuguese community here in the US, because there's a lot of immigrants, particularly in the New England area where I am at the moment. So it was a very important project to me, because it meant that I could help out the community where I grew up in, my culture, Portuguese culture here in the US. So yeah, so basically we're just helping Palcas give this as much awareness as we can, so that Portuguese can be counted in the US Census 2020.
Wow, that's amazing. So I know like you're very young, ambitious, a wonderful, beautiful actor. And then what kind of drive do you have to do so many different projects and then being in charge and, just to motivate yourself? Like, what is your source of energy?
I honestly, sometimes I don't know, but I remember something that my mom told me when I was really young. She said, Mia, you might never be the most talented or the most beautiful or the richest or the most well-connected, but you can be the hardest working person in the room, and that's all that matters. So I think it kind of stuck to me that no matter what, as long as I work hard, I'm doing my best, and that's all that I can do, really. She also said that the moment you start looking at what other people are doing, that's the moment that they win the race, because you're not focused on your own path. So I think that's what I try to do. I try to focus on the things that I like, the things that give me joy, and the things that I want to do for the rest of my life. And as long as I follow that path, I want to work hard towards it, because it's what I want. So I think motivation really comes from getting a sense of focus in your life and what brings you joy and what you really want to do. And if it really is what you want to do, then you're going to work as hard as you can.
So I really have to disagree with your mom. I think you're a beautiful, talented, very connected person. So I think you are already to success, and then you are already doing so much, especially right after you came from Portuguese, and then London and New York, and it's just so amazing. So of all the 3 places that you've lived, I don't want to put you on the spot, but where do you think it's the best, or it's maybe pros and cons and different things, but suitable for like actors to live?
That's a hard question. I'd say that in terms of the amount of work, I think sometimes if you stay in New York for a long time, you kind of start taking the work for granted. And you shouldn't, because honestly, New York does have a lot of competition, that's true, but also there's a lot of work available. And I think if you really specify on the right work for you, the things that are really suited for you, you'll find work in New York, because there's so much offer. However, I can understand how some people may get lost in New York and how smaller markets may help them. Being London's still big, but it's still a smaller market than New York. My personal choice, I think New York, because I think New York has a sense of love for the craft. It isn't just a business. I think there's a certain integrity in New Yorkers, at least particularly in theater, because it's more prominent in New York rather than film. But I think there's a real sense of the grittiness of acting, and what's really important is to share these messages. So I particularly like New York because I think it really focuses on the real meaningful things about acting.
So, what is your favorite part of being actor, actress, especially on the stage, or maybe watching your final project in film? Like, what, like, can you share with our audience?
My favorite thing, I think sometimes it's seeing the impact you have on other people, not in an egotistical way, but in the sense that sometimes you find that acting heals people. I think sometimes, for instance, I'm going to share a story of one of my friends. Her parents were divorced, actually. And then she did this amazing, beautiful piece about family and her sisters and bringing the family together. And in fact, her parents got back together after watching that play. And they've been divorced for years. And I think I like telling the story because I think it really brings about the power that theater has in film in changing people's mentalities and into making the world a slightly better place through acting, through these circumstances, these stories that some people would never have a chance to experience if it wasn't through the theater. So I think that's my favorite thing about acting, knowing that you can have a real impact on these people's lives the same way that other actors had an impact on me. So I think that would be it.
Wonderful. So, would you please tell something in your native language and then some message to maybe your fans who speaks Portuguese?
Yeah. Queria agradecer muito aos meus pais, aos meus amigos que sempre me apoiaram, aos meus avós, e tenho muitas saudades. Obrigada.
Okay, wonderful. Thank you so much. So, Mia, it's been such a wonderful having you on the show, and then we are very eager to find out your IG and Facebook, and then I hope a lot of people will visit and then check out your work.
Thank you. Thank you so much for having me. Honestly, it's a pleasure. It was great.
Yes, unfortunately, we couldn't meet in person, but someday we will. And then I just wish you best of luck on your career. So exciting. And then we'll just keep watching your work.
Thank you. See you sometime soon. Thank you so much.
Yes, absolutely. Well, thank you everyone for watching another episode of Around Foxborough. My name is Jay Love. We have Paul Beck and Michael Weber as our executive director, Paul Beck as our director for Around Foxborough. And if you have missed Around Foxborough in the past episode, you can check out fcatv.org, and then come to Around Foxborough. Thank you again for watching. See you next time.